is Sunday, September 1st, and we are about 3 days short of it being 1 month since I've been in Santo Domingo. So I thought, what better way to recap my time here than to answer some of the questions I've been getting about what it's like living here. So I'm getting ready for the day, about to head out and run some errands and stuff. But while I do that, I thought I could tell you guys a little bit about what's been going on. Oh, how do I explain it? A lot of people are stuck between I live in a tropical paradise and I live in a third world dump. So, Santo Domingo is the capital of the Dominican Republic. So, it's just like being at home in Indianapolis, because Indianapolis is the capital of Indiana. Where my hotel is located is in downtown Santo Domingo. So it looks very similar to downtown Indianapolis. A lot of businesses, a lot of restaurants, a lot of bars and clubs. The scenery isn't probably what you would expect, but I'm in a capital, so it's not like I'm close to water, but I'm not as close as if I was like in Punta Cana or something like that. But so far, like, people are super friendly here, very friendly. I'm not gonna lie and say that like my Spanish is super good. I did minor in Spanish, and I've been taking it for a while, but you know, when you're in college, you don't know how much you're gonna use like the stuff that you're learning. So, and you're mostly doing whatever you need to do to get out of there and graduate, which is exactly what I did. But you know, it wasn't like bad. I do enough to maintain a conversation, get to where I need to go, ask where I need to get to. But the one thing here is that Dominicans speak very fast. And they'll tell you that too. Like, they'll tell you they have basically their own Spanish here. So that was one thing to adapt to. The culture's a little bit different here since they are more friendly. Like, everybody says how we have Midwest nice. But people aren't very, like, let me help you, like, what's going on. Some people can tell I'm not from here after a while, but I've been told a few times that I look a little Dominican, so they can't really tell that much. Of course, they have, like, when they greet you, they do like the kiss on the cheek. That was different, because at first I was like, oh, wait a minute, and then I realized, like, okay. Sometimes I do forget, like, I am in a different country, because when I'm at work, it's just work. You know what I mean? Things aren't really too much different, except they speak a different language than I normally would. But when I go out, it's like a totally different world. Okay, now that I am all dressed for the day, first of all, let's just take an appreciation for these edges. I didn't get this side as good, but I just be trying to experiment just with a little S and 5. Right now I got a lowercase s, some lowercase s's going on, but I'm still proud or whatever. So I'll just give you guys like a recap of my first couple of weeks here. So when I left Friday, August 2nd, my flight was at like 11 something. That day was literally insane. I was up since like 7 a.m. if y'all know me, I wait to the last minute to do everything. And of course I was not done packing when it was time for me to leave. So I was packing. I had 2 large suitcases, a smaller like travel, like carry-on suitcase, and then I had a box with some other little things in it. I was going to ship the box originally. Excuse me, all my nails was coming off, or the polish is coming off. They gave me a stipend of $250 to move. I don't know why it didn't occur to me beforehand. I guess it's because I've never really had to do this before, but I was like, let me see if I can just take the box with me on the plane, like check it as luggage. So do that, ended up working out. So I get to the airport. I had to fly through the airline that the company uses, which is American. I gotta say, they are probably the worst airline I've ever been on. Like, I would get on a Spirit flight way before I get on an American airline flight. Like, the turbulence is always bad for no reason at all. Like, it's always just some extra. So I get on the plane, everybody's, fine. I'm sitting all the way in the back. Next thing I know, she's like, okay, we have too many people on the plane. We need at least 6 people to get on another flight. Of course, nobody wants to do that. People are trying to get to where they want to go. So she makes the whole plane deboard until they figured it out. So we didn't end up leaving until almost 2 o'clock. I was supposed to have a 3-hour layover in Miami. I ended up having 45 minutes. Literally, from the time I landed in Miami, I had to go from one side of the airport all the way to the other side of the airport. By the time I got to my gate, I literally had enough time to get some Wendy's, which was like right next to the gate, eat that real quick, and get on the. So then I finally get from Miami to DR. Get to DR, and first you have to go through like a customs thing. They have to like check your passport and all this stuff. Get all the way to the front. They're like, okay, you have to fill out a paper. Mind you, this paper was at the very beginning of the line, but there was nothing stating like you need to fill out this paper. So I finally get the paperwork done, get back in line, go through all of that. Then I get my luggage. Then they get to a post right before you get out of all of this, and they start asking you these questions. So I'm not understanding that this is another part of customs. I thought they were just trying to play with me, trying to mess with me, because he's asking me questions that I've already like answered on the sheet. So on the sheet, you have to put like why you're coming into the country, how long, if you have a certain amount of cash with you, what are you doing with it, like all this stuff. Then it makes it no better that I have this box that between all the handling that it's been through, they've managed to rip it apart and then put it in a trash bag. So now it looks real suspicious. I got 2 suitcases in this just box that's falling apart. So I'm answering all these questions or whatever. Finally get through. I get to the exit, and there's supposed to be like someone waiting for me with a sign, is what I was told. And I'm looking, and I don't see anybody. At this point, like, the only way I can utilize my phone is if I'm on the Wi-Fi, which luckily the airport had Wi-Fi. So I'm messaging my HR coordinator here. Finally, my taxi gets there. I'm like, yes, we're going to the hotel. Everything's going to be good. I finally get to my hotel room, take a shower. Everything was great. The next day, I meet my HR manager and another girl that works in the office with him, and he was like giving me a tour of the hotel and telling me all the stuff I have access to. And then they were working on this like timeline banner, just like something nice to have in the hotel. So I ended up helping them with that. And from like day one, they just treated me like I've been working here. Like everything was great. Sunday, I chilled. I went out for a little bit, went to the store, got a little bit of stuff, and Monday I started work, just like normal. The first day, I will say, was a little bit intimidating because the Saturday when I met my HR coordinator and the HR specialist, I could already get a sense of, okay, it's a little bit different here as far as like speaking goes. So I was already trying to wrap my mind around that. But when you go from a couple of people to over 100 people that you're working with day in and day out, and they don't know you, they don't understand, like, okay, she's American, she doesn't really speak the language that well, all this stuff, like, it's very stressful. On top of, I have to do that, go about my job, learn everything, but I'm learning in Spanish, so it was just a lot going on. So the first day was very intimidating. A lot of people didn't realize I was from America. Like when they would introduce me, they would say where I was from, or when they would have me introduce myself, I would say where I was from. And they were like, oh, you're from America. And I'm like, yeah. So a lot of people here, like I said, a lot of people think I'm Dominican, or they think that I'm from another island. I'm so used to being at home and people ask me where I'm from, and I'm like, oh, I'm from Indiana. And they're like, oh, okay. But here, I have to say, like, they say from the States. So I have to say, like, oh, I'm from the U.S. or I'm from the States. And to me, that was like kind of weird to say, because I never think of it that way, because I'm always at home. So I just have to say the state where I'm from, not the country where I'm from. So that was like different. So the first week was pretty chill, just getting to know the lay of the land and getting to know my coworkers. My second week, that was the tough part. I ended up getting a stomach bug. I don't know what it was or what I got it from, but I got like a stomach bug. And I've had food poisoning before, but it was never like this. It started on like a Tuesday, and I just woke up in the middle of the night and I had just this really, really bad stomach pain, just like really, really sharp pains. And I couldn't really sleep, like from 4 o'clock until I had to get up. Well, no, I say probably about 2 a.m., a little after 2:30 to 6:30 when I had to get up for work the next day. I could not sleep at all. Like, I just could not sleep. I was like sitting on the floor, trying to lay in the bed, sitting up on the couch. Like, I could not sleep. And I get to work the next day. I had like these anti-diarrhea pills that like they recommend when you travel. And so I took those. I was fine. Like, everything was good. And then all of Tuesday I was fine. Wednesday I was fine. Thursday I start feeling a little bad again. Like, my stomach is just constantly hurting. I don't really have an appetite. But I'm just thinking like, okay, maybe it's just I ate something bad, you know, whatever. So that week they had a holiday. So I don't go by the same holidays we have at home, like Labor Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, all that stuff. They don't really acknowledge those here. Only American holidays they really acknowledge is like Thanksgiving and Christmas, of course. But this was their own holiday. So we had a 3-day weekend. So I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Thursday, we went out after work, had a couple of drinks or whatever. I had like one drink, and that was it. I got back and I talked to one of my friends and I talked to my sister. And when I got on the phone with my sister is when my stomach started hurting again. I'm like, okay, maybe I just gotta, poop and I'll be good. But it was like after I tried to go to bed, like the pain just started getting worse and worse again. So all Thursday, I felt horrible. Like, I couldn't stand up straight. I couldn't lay in the bed. I literally had to sit up all day. Friday, the same thing. So I'm like, I'm taking medicines that I have. I'm taking aspirin. I'm taking the anti-diarrhea things. I'm drinking 7-Up. I've had Alka-Seltzer, everything. Nothing's working. So Saturday comes, and that was just like the height of it. The pain I was feeling, like I've never had a baby before or anything like that. But if I could equate it to something, I'm pretty sure I was as close to labor as I will probably get anytime soon. Like, that's exactly what it felt like. Somebody was stabbing me from the inside of my stomach, trying to break it open. I finally messaged my manager and I was like, look, I've been having these stomach pains for the past couple of days. I think I need to go to the ER. And in my mind, with all the news and things that was going on before I left, I try to like keep that out of my head so it doesn't paint a negative view or like make me nervous or anything. But at that moment, I knew I was about to be the next story on the news. I was like, Lord, I cannot go out like this. This is not how it's supposed to end. Like, it's only been 2 weeks. This cannot be it. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what am I about to do? Like, do I call my mom? Because if I call and tell her this, I know I'm about to be on the next flight home. I just know it. So he was like, well, order this medicine. The good thing about being here is that when I'm telling you, you can literally get anything delivered. You can have anything: medicine, groceries, fast food, makeup, alcohol, anything you want, they deliver it. So he was like, just order this medicine, see what that does. So I took the pills. It was like 3 of them. I took them. And Sunday, I started to feel a little bit better. Still had a little bit of the pain, but I was feeling a little bit better. So Monday, I wake up, and I'm not really feeling 100%. So I'm like, okay, I'll come in at like 10:30. 10:30 rolls around, I'm like, I cannot do it. Like, I cannot get up. I just felt so, it wasn't even the point that it was really my stomach anymore. It was just, I felt so drained. Like, I couldn't really focus. I just didn't have the energy to even like get up and move around like I normally would. So my HR, or another girl, she's an intern, she now works here, but she was like, well, I'm gonna take you to the clinic and they can tell you if what's wrong or what you have. So I get there, I end up having to take a stool sample. Of course, when I have to take a stool sample, I don't have to poop. So like a day goes by, a day and a half goes by, and I finally can give a sample. So I take the sample, take it back to the clinic, which, by the way, was the most disgusting thing. I've done urine samples so many times, and even that is gross for me, but I've never had to take a stool sample before, and that was just, oh my gosh, it was so gross. So I take the stool sample, I go take it to the clinic or whatever. The next day, they send me an email with the results, and everything was fine. But at this point, I felt like 100%, like everything was good. So I'm thinking whatever it was a stomach bug, and by the time I had gotten to the doctor, it had already passed through and did its thing. But that was very frightening for me. It was I've never experienced anything like that before. I was very nervous. But for me, like, my digestive system is very sensitive. Even at home, like, I could eat a small, I don't know, like some chips or something, and it'll make my stomach hurt. So I think just being here and the diet being different. Anyways, moving on. Week 3, pretty normal, still going through my rotation. For this program, I have to go through a rotation of all the general departments of the hotel, just to see the operations and how everything functions and flows. And then my last 3 to 4 months will be in my specialization, which is in food and beverage. So the first couple of weeks, I'm just going through all the different departments, like housekeeping, security, front desk, finance, revenue management, HR. What else is there? Something else, I can't remember, but just all the different departments that make up the hotel. But other than that, things have been pretty good so far. I haven't done a bunch of like adventure things like I want yet, but this first month has kind of just been like settling down, figuring out my flow, getting a routine. Week 2 kind of threw a wrench in the game a little bit. That kind of slowed me down, because after that it took me like another week to kind of get back up to speed with work, and then let my body recuperate and just get back my energy and things of that nature. So this weekend is kind of like the very, very first weekend I really feel like I'm able to, like, okay, let's go out, let's do this. But I don't know, it's really hard to explain what it's like being here. Like, people ask like, oh, do you get homesick? And I'm like, yeah, duh. Like, so being this far away from home for this long, it can be rough, especially being away from almost everything that you know. The people don't speak the same language as you. Your habits are different. Just things are just different. You know what I mean? I can't go about my everyday life like I normally would. But it's definitely taught me to value some things, and definitely to put myself in other people's shoes. Like at home right now, there's a lot of issues with like immigration laws, and just my whole entire life, just seeing how Americans treat foreign people or people from other countries that are not natively American. And to be here, and for lack of a better use of words, technically I'm the foreigner, you know what I mean, in this sense. And even though, people tell me like, oh, you look Dominican, or, you look like you're from, I'm still, not from here. This is not my home. And to see that people are so willing to help me, or, have patience with me, and to see at home how people are so easily agitated by people that come from other countries and are trying to survive and live in the US, it makes you develop more sympathy. Not saying that I was harsh to people, because obviously, like, I'm interested in Latin cultures and just cultures in general. I think it's fascinating that people want to come to the US and then be able to, you know, spread their culture with us. That's why we are able to be so as diverse as we are. We wouldn't have Jamaican restaurants and Mexican food and all these different cuisines if these people did not come to our country and spread that with us, or if somebody from our country didn't go to these countries to learn and understand that. So the fact that we can be so biased and unaccepting of others, it makes you feel kind of disgusted a little bit. I definitely wish it was easier for people of all places around the world to be able to navigate the world and visit other countries and understand how other people live, because I think that would make us more tolerant. But especially in the US, since we hold so much power, that people could really do things like this, even if it's just for the weekend or a week or so. It doesn't have to be 6 months or a year or whatever the case may be. But it just, I don't know. I would hope that I'm able to help other people understand how to better understand people that are different from them, instead of so easily writing them off. And that's just not people that are foreign. This is even going as far as race, you know, that we still go through issues of racism at home. And here, people think in foreign countries, just because they're foreign, they're all the same. They have social, economic issues just like we do. They have class issues just like we do, you know. Cultures still function the same way, their customs may be a little bit different than ours. But I don't know, I can't make people see things through the same lens as me. And even before I came here, I always try to push tolerance and acceptance to everyone that I know. And it can be hard and it can be frustrating, but just being able to be here and kind of living in the shoes that people have to live in back home. And even then, like, I still have a privilege here, you know what I mean? I still have somewhat of a privilege here. For example, in US money, things aren't as expensive. It just depending on what you want to do. For example, like, getting my nails and stuff done isn't as expensive as it is at home, but like gas is way more expensive here. Like, gas is almost $4 a gallon here. But one of my coworkers took me to get my nails done my first weekend here, and I got a gel manicure and a pedicure like I normally would, and it was something like almost 2,000 pesos, or something like 1,900 or 1,600, something like that. And she asked me how much it was, and I told her the cost, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so expensive." And I was like, "Girl, I just got a gel manicure and a pedicure for $33. Like, that is cheap. That's a pedicure and a tip alone. Like, that's cheap." But I have to realize that that is a privilege for me. Now, getting paid in pesos now, I gotta watch myself a little bit, because, you know, things be adding up. But being not from here, you know, I don't think about those things. But it's just certain things that they have to think about that I might not necessarily think about just because of where I come from. So there are just a lot of nuances that really make me take a step back and think about, you know, what are the things that are absolutely important, what are necessities and what are wants. And not to say by any means that I live, I think that's housekeeping, 1 second. Sorry guys, that was housekeeping. They come to like clean my room every day, but if I'm here, I try to tell them not to clean it, just because, I mean, it's just me in here. It's not like that crazy. It is nice having my bed made every day, I'm not gonna lie. But overall, I'll say the biggest challenges, one, of course, the language. But I will say, compared to my first day, it is so much better than when I got here. Like, these first 30 days have been like, it's kind of hard sometimes, especially in group settings, because you can tell when they're comfortable, they just talk, and I can't really contribute to conversation. And I don't like to seem like a Debbie Downer or anything, but I'm really just trying to understand and keep up. I'm used to being able to like talk and joke and laugh and, you know, keeping the party going and just having a good time. But like most of the time it's just me sitting there like, okay, what the heck is going on? You know what I mean? But in due time, it'll be fine. And most people say, they're like, oh no, like you speak like Spanish very well. Like it's a lot better, which I can see why they would say that, because it's not like I don't know it at all. It's just not, of course, as good as it would be if I was from here. But, you know, it's okay. In 6 months, your girl gonna be good. When I get back home, you ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing, okay? Number 2, probably not having a car. And I'm used to not having a car. My first car broke down. So from like September of my junior year of college until, I'll say, Thanksgiving of last year, I didn't have a car that entire time. But it's a little bit different when you're home and you're used to like how to navigate and get around. You know, you have people you can rely on to, you know, take you places, or I can use my parents' cars or whatever the case may be. So being here, I have to like Uber a lot or go places with other people, with my coworkers, or walk. That's really the thing. I'm too lazy to walk. Like I'm hoping I get past that. I have to, because I have no choice. But especially when a lot of things that I need are in the immediate area. So it doesn't make sense for me to take an Uber across the street. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I'm just gonna stop being lazy. It's okay. What else? Socially, I guess, is a little rough. Like my coworkers, they do take me out, you know, we hang out and stuff, but they have their own lives, so I can't expect them to, you know, take me everywhere or do stuff with me every single weekend and stuff like that. So I have to try a little bit harder than I normally would to actually get out and explore and do things on my own. It's just, I have to put in more effort, if that makes sense. Not saying that I don't work hard or I don't put in effort for things, but it's just different. It's just very different, you know, being here when you're out of your element. That's how I can sum it up. It's being out of my element, definitely being out of my comfort zone. And I'm very much so a person, like my brain is outside of the box, but I'm physically in the box. And not just in the box, like I'm in the center of the box, like the most comfortable part of the box. That's where I am. So I don't really venture outside of my comfort zone too often, and every day I'm forced to be outside of my comfort zone. And I know, you know, they always say like being out of your comfort zone is the best way to improve yourself and be better and this, that, and the other, but a lot of things are easier said than done. Being out of my comfort zone is moving to another place. But moving to another place, having to speak another language day in and day out, meeting new people every single day, having to develop a new routine, being by yourself, you know, it's just different. Imagine somebody just dropping you off in the middle of nowhere and you have no phone, nothing, which essentially was how my first couple of weeks were, because I didn't have my local phone plan for like my first 3 weeks. So unless I was here in the hotel, I couldn't talk to anybody, like no one. That's the great thing about iPhones. Is probably why I will never not have an iPhone, because I can FaceTime and iMessage on Wi-Fi. But if I wasn't here in the hotel, or at least somewhere with Wi-Fi, which is very uncommon because they don't have Starbucks here, so it's not like I can just go into Starbucks and connect to their Wi-Fi and be good. I was by myself, you know what I mean? I'm still by myself. Right now, I'm by myself, you know what I mean? And it's just a different way of living. But it's only been 1 month, and I've learned so much about myself, about the city, about just a lot in general. So I can only imagine how things are going to continue to develop and grow as I go through these next couple months. I can't believe it's been a month already. which is a good and a bad thing. One, it's a good thing because that means time is going quick, because I'm really ready to get into my field and really work day in and day out and really start making my goals happen and my dreams happen. But it's a bad thing in that, one, it really shows you time waits for no one, and that I just don't want to miss out on anything or being able to do anything during my time here. So I'm learning every day how to just get more comfortable being uncomfortable, how to make better use of my time personally, how to motivate myself every day to want to get out of my comfort zone when it feels safe being in this little here room of mine. The biggest thing is, I think the biggest thing that I have to do is just be comfortable being uncomfortable and getting out of my element. But in 6 months, in due time, things will be, I won't say perfect, but they'll be a lot better than when I came. So, and that's all I can ask for. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them down below in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, until next time, adios.